What is going on, people? It's Mr. Trick here. Welcome. I'm just going to go through one of my tunes that I've produced by a band called Full Tilt Collective, and we're going to go into this.
You got me rifling through the paper. You got me listening at the step. You got me worrying the neighbor. You got me coming up for air.
So the original tune is at 165 BPM. I'm going to be using Ableton and Logic. Oh my god, I don't use either of them, or I only use one, or whatever. They all do the same thing. So you're gonna hopefully learn something. Maybe I can learn something from you. You can tell me what you think. But this is just how I do it. If I could give any advice, it's take everything in, but use what works for you. So I got the stems. They're originally at 165 BPM. So I warp them. I use complete. The beat one's good for drums, but complex I use. So warp them, get them all in time, and then I sped the track up to 190. This tune is not just drum and bass, it's kind of starts hip hop and goes into drum and bass. So I warped them at 190, and then I warped them at 174. I think, yeah. So the tune, this is the tune, in Logic, boom, and so once you've got all your stems in time, you've synced them up, and you get your metronome. So these are all the stems they gave me. So obviously they start. This is the original tempo.
It's like a drum, and then you succumb, and then other stuff is in. You got me rifling through the paper.
So then I sped it up to 190, which is kind of hip hop speed.
You got me listening at the step.
But I took away the drums and produced this. So 190, which is obviously, what's wrong with my maths? 95 BPM. At this point, you can see this little decrease in speed, and then it doubles up to drum and bass. So I'm going to play you the drum and bass bit.
The circles, you got me arguing the case. You never even try, yeah.
So I'm really happy with this tune. It's taken me a long time to put together, and so yeah, I'm just going to break it down. We're going to get into it. So the bottom, you've got your sub line here. I use this instrument. It's kind of a emulator of the famous keyboard, which used a basic sine wave and then like filtered it down. So, and I put a Camel Crusher on it to gritting it up. I've used the Waves plugin to sidechain it with the kick drum. Just subtle side chaining. Nothing too drastic, but at least it's there. And this is my crazy EQ. Cutting around where the kick and snare goes in, which is really good. So that's my sub, and then I've got a little 808 sub, so there's bits where it changes here, you can hear, do, which with the rest of the tune it sounds like this.
You got me swinging from the branches. You got me playing with the band.
So that's quite dominant in that bit. The sub and kick relationship is super important, as you probably know. But the reason I'm doing this tutorial is because I just realised a lot of my tunes haven't really played well when I've played them out on Serato. So I did a real interesting test that I encourage you guys to try out. Is make your tunes and bounce them, obviously, but take a small section like your drop, for instance, and then load them up into either Tractor or Serato. It doesn't really matter which one you use. And then just have a look at the waveforms and try and get them the same as some original tunes. And you'll find it. I basically did that, and it took me about 10 attempts. And the key is to absolutely ignore your master channels. I used to think this was the holy grail, the red. Ignore the red. See, that is like going to the red by 1.6. It crashes, yeah, because I've got too much stuff on. But ignore it, because then I'm going to talk about the mastering of the track afterwards. But if your kick and your snare and your kind of shuffles, i.e. your like mids, percussion instruments, are like quite loud and dominating, when you come to master it, it will all kind of come together. And it's taken me a long time to learn that, and I'm really excited to tell you guys that, because I learned it myself by doing this technique, that if Serato loaded, I'll be able to show you. But basically you get the gist. You've got a tune set up on one side that you can see the kicks are very dominating and dominant, and then the snares, and you try and get the color as well, because it's very color specific. So do that as a little test, and see if you can get them sound the same. If you can, that is where your tunes are gonna sit really well together. So I've done the sub, and moving on to the kick. Like I said, the sub and kick relationship. I have got a really cool plugin. Shouts to Joe Rodwell, who introduced me to this. It is called Big Kick. Now this plugin is wicked. So you've got your kind of your main body of your kick, and then you layer it with a sample, and you use the gain between the two. So if I just solo my kick, you've got the sample here, and you've got this low sound, and you've layered it with this. So that's like your really high punch. And what you do is you tune it, and it's got this lovely tuning device here, so you can pick your notes. Now, if you look at these notes, you find something interesting. There is no D. It goes C sharp, C, B, A, G. That's backwards, obviously, because fundamental frequencies. I have learned a lot about this. Shouts to an Ed Solo tutorial I watched, and Dr. Mika mentioned it again as well. The sublines, sub. I can't stress buying a Fab EQ as well, because it's got this lovely keyboard at the bottom. Fab filter, sorry, Pro EQ. And you basically, what it means is all your sublines, let me select them all, should only be between your D, is it going to play? Your D note here, and like basically your D above. And then what you do, because the root note of this tune basically is in E, so that's why my kick drum is on E. So E. That frequency there, which I think is about 74 kilohertz. Because the rule of thumb is, if you go below that lower one, so that's your sub, and that's where the kick is. If you go down to 30, see it says 36.7k. Sound systems and subs are not, they're just about going to pick that up. Yeah, and then dogs and cats are going to hear these frequencies, and owls, and no human is. And basically around this area is where your sub should sit, and that's where your kick should sit. So if your sub melody goes down to here, just bring it up an octave. Or if it goes up to here, bring it down an octave. But try and keep it in this realm. So yeah, that's the technique that I've learned about your sub and kick relationship. Really important. I've made tunes where the sub would just go burp, burp, and then I'd play it out and go, I can't hear anything here. It's because it's too high. So for instance, I think I did do that initially. But I just kept it all on the same note. So that is the sub, that is a kick. I layered obviously the kicks with some other cool sounds, some ghetto kick drums. So I got like a hip hop kit with my big fatty kick drum. And then I did tune these and then got them to be like on the E note as well. And then I got some really nice cool snares. Oh, so then it came to the groove of this. So I kind of gone for like a ghetto funk type, I think you call it ghetto funk groove at the beginning. And swing and your groove, like, super important. So I went for pretty much everything on this thing, which is Logic. I know Ableton has them as well. If you go into Ableton, you go to packs, you go into core library, you go down to here, you got loads of cool stuff. MPC grooves are in there. I'd recommend use them because they are taken from the original MPCs. So I went for this swing sound, layered it with this break as well. Gave it, a complete cut off around that area. And then I also found this pack. I think it was from Slice, which I managed to put together. And I got these kind of cool trappy snares that really feel in between. And then I put them all within the groove. So yeah, that's your hip hop. That's your hip hop beat. And then, oh yeah, turn your phone off. Turn your phone off while you're doing a recording. Okay, let me take this and I'll just come back to you. Sorry about that. I was just about to say the tambourine and the shakers and your top parts are really important to give the continuous groove. So if your bass sound goes dun 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 dun, your shakers might want to go. Does that make sense? So they follow the groove of your kind of melody, but then also, continuing. Do you know what I mean? So if your bass line stops, the shakers kind of can continue. I hope that makes sense. If you're wondering how do they link, that's a good way of thinking. So they're my shakers. And the emulation, by the way, of the sub, I just remember, is a Juno 60. What I was saying about this, Juno 60, this one. So yeah, shakers on the top. That's what I've got to say about that. So yeah, you break your drums, following the pattern, layering it, not overcomplicating it as well. Also got this really nice woman just going, what is it, a woman? I think it's a woman. And then pitch that. This is a really good pitcher. Don't use your Logic one. I think the Ableton one's really good as well. Yeah. And then I've done some filtering. Oh yeah, just to say this as well, really fun thing to do when you're remixing is chop up all your sounds. And you can make your own little pattern. So yeah, so get some a little pattern that you can do, and you could then do that live. I've got one of these lovely native instrument machine that I use in some of my videos. I'm going to do some more of these soon. But yeah, that's a really fun thing to do, chopping it up and making a new groove. And then yeah, so that's that breakdown, and then you got this bit.
Show me what it is to try and break.
I mean, because the band's very minimal, I've had to add some other bits. You've got this nice kind of soulful collapse that I got of Splice.
Show me what it is to try and break.
And then I had to put in some like more melody. I really wanted to get a nice organ sound. Now, I've searched far and wide, but Native Instruments do this lovely B4. I think there's some really cool organ sounds out there, but sometimes they start sounding like churches, and you're like, no, I want soulful. So this was the best sound that I could come up with, but I've like filtered it. Obviously, everything's like building and building. I didn't filter this to volume. And the swell, really important, or the rotary. Well, it's like you kind of wobble to it. And then I did some really cool arps as well that I really like. Very subtle, these. I did on the lovely Nexus as well. Nexus has suddenly become a little bit trancey. And then I got this really cool... I don't know what you call it. Modern mode. It basically moves the sound from left speaker to right speaker. That is another thing, is you all like on your tunes you should really have something kind of moving around, but not have it like your high shaker sounds, because that could get really confusing. But like some synths do, like ARP or some whooshes or something kind of high and shiny that brightens and widens your sound. So I've done that, and then I've got this really cool synth that is like your kind of chord sounds. Again, filtered up. I should have just done it in the other section, which I went for Serum. Wow, very future bass kind of vibes. Got the old triplets on that, and then I got some distortion added to it. I got Space Designer, Space Designer with the reverb. Really important sometimes to not give your reverb too much stereo sound, so I've shrunk that down a little bit by half to make it a bit more mono, because listening to your tunes in stereo is really, really important. Free plugin you can get to do that is Brainworks, and you can do... I will talk more about this in the master, but this one solo, you just hit this button here, and you can hear everything that's playing in solo. So when it comes to things like reverb, you don't want to then turn to mono. Well, mono, and then just there be no reverb at all. Check it out, it's really good. If you don't know about stereo mono stuff, basically there's two parts to sound: stereo or mono. Mono being mids, stereo being sides. My theory is, correct me if I'm wrong here, and my theory is that if I get up an EQ like this, let's just make a new one for a second. Again, I'll talk more about this in mastering, but when it comes to your mix down, this is pretty important. Let me go to this. So if you imagine your stereo sound should be like that kind of thing, there should be no mono, and then it gets brighter and brighter, and then higher. So that is my basic theory of you make it nice and shiny in your stereo stuff. If it doesn't, you can do this tip here. You can, I think this is, you send your stuff to a sidewinder. This one I use. Was free with Computer Music. Computer Music is a great magazine that does lots of tutorials, lots of which I have watched. Okay, so that is a build up. Oh, I added a little funky bass line, funky like guitar bass underneath. And I think I just used a funky contact bass in that, and then added a guitar rig amp. Really important to add amps to your guitar. Gives a richer, nicer sound. That's really, really subtle. So you've got all these sounds combined. Builds up and builds up and builds up. I haven't really got some whooshes and some sound effects. What's also quite cool in this tune is I made a sidechain going throughout that just plays through a channel. As you know what a sidechain is, it just will then send a signal through to your compressor, and in this sense I've used a gate, so when it's going through, so it's chopping it off basically, and I did this kind of funky, so that's the original, and then I did this groove that kind of turns it on and off. Let's put it on. Does that make sense? So every time it comes in, it's giving it that groove. So when you put that through the tune,
you got me rifling through the paper. You got me listening at the.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can hear that. It's very subtle, going da 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 da. So there you go. That's that section. So let's get to the nitty gritty, the bass line, the drop. So this is the drop of the tune.
You got me rifling through the paper. You got me listening at the step. You got me worrying the neighbor. You got me coming up for air. You got me swinging from the branches. You got me playing with the band.
So you got sub. You've also got sawtooth. Saw, they're great. If you like kind of full sound, in your face, sharp sound, slightly overused, but sawtooth's just great. I use standard EX24. Minute. So originally I think I made the melody in here, and then I muted some parts and then put them on other instruments. So I put it onto here. So it goes da da da, and then the other synth plays the other line, which is Serum. And then you've got your synth chord. And then you got like a top melody, I think I might want to call it. But they're like percussion-y sounds. Do. Which I layered with a more kind of percussion knit sound above that. So with the bass as well. With the guitar, really important about the guitar as well. I changed this part. Originally in the song it wasn't very funky, so I took a funky line playing the skanks and put it in here. So that's cool. The guitar, I gave it a little bit of tremolo, so it's kind of I don't know what I'm doing there, but yeah, you get the gist. So yeah, it's just accentuating basically the offbeat. I think did I? Yeah, so I moved it across, so it's on the offbeat. Yeah, snare, drums. We went through the drums. I got this really crazy tap loop that I made from. If you know about electro swing tunes, you might know where this originated from. I think I took it from that or a sample pack. I can't remember. But it's like tap dancing. And I chopped it up. I got the loop. Boom. And then went to the loop. Let's say I got a loop here. And I went open reject by track. I think I did. Yeah. And then you click on that. No, it wasn't that. It was something else. I did something, and you convert it to these drum patterns so they go by each transient, and then I hit it into the groove and make this really cool sound. So I've really explained that really badly. I took a loop that was like going ding 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 ding, and made it into a loop that just went with the rest of it on 8D swing. So together it's like this. Oh, let's go again.
You got me worrying. You got me coming up for air. You got me swinging from the branches.
It's quite subtle, but that's there. Insert your mid percussion sounds. Then let's look at the brass. So the brass was great. I think it needed a little bit of compression. As you can see, it kind of goes loud, goes quiet. It's kind of all over the shop which is fine because it's live music rather than electronic music. So I don't know if they added any compression. They probably did, but it's not as compressed as I want it to be. Just some subtle compression here, and then it went into the ultimate channel, and you see it says Next Man. So producer called Next Man. I basically rinsed what they did. Had to buy Computer Magazine to find out that tutorial. So yeah, got a lovely API kind of compression to give it brighten it, and then I added the Decapitator. So Decapitator is a really good plugin, and then the other one is Camel Crusher. Decapitator they're both distortion, but Decapitator does your more kind of lower growly, earthy, weird words distortion, and Camel Crusher does some more high-end kind of crunchy top end, like you can use it like really well on your drums. That's my theory. I might be wrong, but that's what I use. So let me try play without. I don't know why that's there. That can go. That is something I probably wanted to brighten it up. So that did a massive increase. Low end cut, multi-band compressor. It's not really doing much at that point. Limiter. And then beautiful delay sounds, and I think I did a tape delay. Let's just go to where that is. Yeah, tape delay, compression, and EQing on that. And then on bus 24, I did some reverb. I think on this one, if I remember correctly, I've done a guitar spring, which is a really nice kind of sound. Rather than your basic reverb, I've done like a guitar amp reverb sound. Again, thinking about it live. So you've got the tune. That's it really. And then vocals, obviously you've got your backing vocals. Put a noise gate on her and compression. Use this VO Vox thing again, and then the CLA vocals, a little bit of low end bass, and use that for compression. De-esser, she was quite high on the S's. It's not even like working. There's probably louder bits. And then the glue that glues everything together. This is quite a nice plugin. I've just got it. And most importantly, this is I've panned her a little bit because I think they did a little bit of panning, and I panned it the other way. So she was your wide sound, and then your main lead. CLA compression. This one's the best compressor, although if you use it too much, everything's like fighting to be in the main mix and it be in the front. Now, I mentioned this before. This is a really good plugin, and Omnit got me in touch with this one for really good brightening sounds that doesn't make it sound plasticky, if that makes sense. So just 2.5k, 1.5k boost there, analog. It's really good. If you want something to come out of a mix, you can either use distortion, you can use compression, you could use transient designers to give it the attack, or you can brighten it. When stuff's brighter, your ear kind of hears it a bit better. So if it's something that it's just those ways, you know, of compression or whatever's not really working for you, I would say try brightening it. You can use exciters as well. Bit under EQ, real basic stuff. DS again on the main vocals.
You got me worrying the neighbor.
And then it's reverb on that. Oh, really good reverb sound that you want to use is the Lexicon Chamber. The reverbs on these are wicked. I highly recommend them.
You got me worrying the neighbor.
So I've used that one. By the way, it might look like I'm not doing much, but I have it on this setting rather than this one. You set it on that one and everything goes up in volume. I have it on that one. Nice little tip if you use Logic. Don't know if it's in Logic Pro X. So that's it. That's all the layers. And then if we go to the drum bass bit, the moment you've all been waiting for.
You got me arguing the case. You never even tried.
And then it crashes because I'm recording. Yeah, so that bit. Again, same principle applies. Tuning my kick drum. Getting a nice snare that's very attacky. And finding some breaks that work. Where the heck is my screen going? So, get some breaks. So, I've got a live break here. And then I've got some nice hi-hats here from a pack. I think it was a jungle pack or something. And then I got another jungle break here. But I got rid of all the kicks. I also found in Logic, you might be going, why don't you group anything, Mr. Trick? It's because I did. I used to. And then I'd solo everything. And there'd be like some weird latency thing going on. Yes, I should use to move to Ableton, but I'm not going to do that yet. So everything is just going straight up stereo. The most important thing I forgot to mention, that I have learned from doing your test on Serato, that has now loaded. That I can just put up a good tune that I know pumps in the club. Let's look at these guys. Sticky Buds, Ed Solo, and Calab. Is it Ed Solo? No, I don't think it is. Anyway, okay, there you go. Like, this is the build. I'm not going to play it because it probably gets shut down. But you can see you've got like a douche, and you've got douche. You've got all these colours. Like I said, get your tune, export the drop, and have a look and try and get it beefy as. The point I'm getting at, get your kick drum to hit 0 dB, and that is it. That is your law, I think, or your rule, your golden rule. So, as you can see from my kick drum, look, it is, if I change it back to here, linear, hitting at 0 dB. 0, bang. Bang, 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 bang. And that, when you put it on here, is the same. And then, what I used to be like, I'd be like, oh, like it's going in the red, I'll bring everything down. Don't change that. Keep that at 0 dB. Then the rest can do whatever they want. As long as the bass is coming through as well, and you've got a nice bass and kick relationship, then you're good to go. Kick drum, 0 dB, that is pure fire. and then your mids and this, make them at 0, kind of 0 dB. But trust me, play with it, learn, and then you will discover the truth about making your tunes pump 0 dB with your kick. It's the holy grail. Okay, and so they're my drums. I've got like a ride as well. Oh, and this little thing, shouts to all my old school jungle ravers. I listened to some tunes, you know, from back in the day, and they got mad jungle sounds, like actually a jungle. That sounds like crickets and insects and stuff like that, and I put that into the mix, so that sounds really good. And yeah, so really punchy, nice snare drum. Sexy. Pitching your snare drums as well is a really interesting thing. You pitch your kick, which our root note is E, and you might want to then pitch your snare as E, or you might want to move it up a third or a fifth. You could try those experiments. That's quite fun to do. So I've got, let's go to the bass sounds. I've got some wobs and some cool sounds here. Okay, that's really cool. Shouts to Serum. I don't know where I got this sound from, or if I made it, or I, you know, tweaked it, but that's a cool sound. I was quite, what am I trying to say? I made this tune, and I tried to make it kind of old school jungle sounding. With your bass line here, do 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 do. So that was the kind of sound. I did initially go in on the sound, and then brought things back. As a tip, you can fill it in, and build your songs with layers and layers. But then try and take stuff away. And once you start taking stuff away and go, actually, is the song still got weight if I take these sounds away? And that is where I guess your ear is really important, and kind of just trial and error. Another quick fun tip is reverse kick. I like that into the drop. Check it out. Check it out.
You got me arguing the game.
It just goes whoodum. It's like kind of like runs into it. It's really nice. I sometimes do that with bass sounds, so it might go
You got me arguing the game.
It might go into the drop. That's always quite nice. All these subtle things. And notice I'd taken the kick drums out of this break. I had them in there initially, but when I was doing my test, you know, the one with Yaserato, I found out that they just cut through a little better. They're layered. There's one there that's very low passed, low cut even. The other thing you notice is the tambourines come in later, so the tune drops and then the hi-hats come in. It's just a bit more ear candy.
Are you in the game? You never even try again.
So that's cool. Oh yeah, they've got this really nice sound as well in here you can listen to. That's quite beefy. And then yeah, just like I kind of attacked the stabs and was quite subtle with them, and that I think is the tune. There's some other stuff, some nice organ, the live organ stuff that they did I put on at the end. Don't know what that hand is about. Jesus moments, and I put the art back, put the melody back in, had some nice wobs as well towards the end. I hope this has been helpful. This is taking me a long time. Big up all the listeners. Big up everyone. Oh, I'm not finished. So this was the tune, right? Oh, I shouldn't have saved that. I think I made some changes. Oh well. So So you bounce that, and you then open it up in your mastering. Do your mastering in another session. Don't do it in the same one, because you could look at my track listing then. Ooh, is there anything interesting? No. So then you drop your tune in here, and then you do all your mastering in here. So mastering, very important. So this is the tune. Look at it. You're like, yeah, but you're distorting, aren't you? You're like peaking, because I said the red light. Screw the red light. I don't know what it's like in other softwares, but I'm pretty sure. I'm going to stick to my gun. 0 dB on your kicks, your snares, and everything will be great. So what have I done? Low cut the bottom end. Get rid of all that dog noise. Sometimes I use these two. These are really fun to sort this bit out. So let's listen to the tune.
Coming up for air. You got me swinging from the branches.
If you don't have much low end bass, like around your 30 hertz, these two plugins are really cool for that. They just warm the low air. So like this area is like air, like your sub sounds. I can't really explain it. Basically, if you've got a note playing here, you put those effects on, it gives sound on the left hand side as opposed to boosting the right, like your R bass stuff. So oxygen, ozone 5. I'm on ozone 5. What have I done? No EQs, bit of harmonic exciter around your mids and your tops, dynamic multiband compressor, done a little bit of compression, very subtle, 1.5. Gains about your low end, probably because the track was very harsh, around the tops, and then cut your low ends below 200, not fully, just half, because I'll move on to that. And then like I said before, raising up the highs, stereo spread. No, nothing there. Then this is the one, IRC3, uses loads of CPU. Bring that baby down. Done some dithery stuff. Make your character fast and loud. Happy days.
You got me playing with the band. You got me taking second chances. You got me steady in my hand. And if you never even try, then you're never gonna understand.
So I've got two settings on here for what I'm looking for. I've got your default, which you get spam. This is a free plugin, by the way. It's really good. So it generally comes like this. This is your default. And I look for any sounds that are popping out nowhere. And if you hit command, you can like EQ, like specifically listen to those areas like this. Really useful. Look at that, brilliant. And then there's another setting that is this, which kind of gives that arc. You kind of want this arc, whereas the other one you want that way. Does that make sense? One's flat and one's kind of dips down. So let's look at this. So on that setting, it goes like that. And that one goes like that. Just, I can't explain why, but shouts to Conrad who came and sorted that out. He just changed the settings. If you want the settings, just send me a message. Hope that makes sense. And then you get to this bad boy, which you can make your tunes mono if you're low end. I love this thing because I used to play my tunes, hear them on the radio, shouts to Captain Flatcap, and be like, it doesn't sound right. It's probably because it had too much stereo spread. Use this bad boy so that you can solo the stereo, or you can solo the mono.
You got me coming up for air. You got me swinging.
You can give it a bit of stereo width there, and you can also cut the low stereo here. And I've cut a little bit in the mid range, so you can listen to that here. So I've just, I think it was the kind of chord sounds were a bit too loud in that. And then I think I stuck this on just to have a look. And then limiter, bad boy limiter. Not really doing much, but limiter pop and limiting. Oh, it just sounds great. And then this one I used to beef it even more. Maximizer. Shouts to Chasing Status for telling me about this. They use this. Just crank this baby up. Just subtly. So once you've mastered it, maximized it, you can master it even more. And then shouts to a guy who introduced me to this. Yeah, this is great. Watch this. So you can look at all the transients of the tune. Yeah, Samuel, big up you. He introduced me to this. Obviously you can see them here, but then when you're making a tune you can use it to see the waveform. That's why I kind of do a lot in Logic, because I like seeing stuff, seeing the waveform, seeing where all the transients are hitting, making sure that everything is in line and tight. So that's my master. That, I think, ladies and gentlemen, is the tune. Gosh, listen, go check it out. I'll give it out for free download, I think. Enjoy, peace and love. Check out the Facebook group, my Facebook page, and like, share, subscribe, and all that. No, kill it, wait. Big up, like my Facebook or whatever if you want. I'm not one of them guys. Mr. Trick signing out, peace and love.